It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the Buffalo Beauts equipment manager, Josh Wagger. How are you doing today?
Doing great, Brandon. How are you?
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to become an equipment manager on the professional sports level?
Well, I never really knew that I wanted to be, to be to be completely honest. I started a small business a long time ago, just basically repairing hockey equipment here and there. I didn't really do too much as trying to become a sports management person. But a friend of mine had friends, and that led to me getting together with the GM of the Beauts at the time, and I was hired almost on the spot. So that kind of like thrust me into a new world.
What was it like to become the equipment manager for the Buffalo Beauts?
Um, it's funny because like at first I was super excited, and then it started to become like real, and then it just kept getting more and more exciting. I started out and I kind of was like into a hot like out of the heat and into the frying pan kind of thing. And it was one of those situations where you had to really like learn on the fly and make sure that you were make sure that I was doing what the players needed me to do, really.
What is a day in the life of an equipment manager on the NWHL side?
Not very glamorous, let's put it that way. During off season, it's usually just me handling normal stuff for my work. um, then we start rolling. We're just starting to roll into the idea of doing our free agent camp here in a couple weeks, and that's going to be just prepping equipment to go up to the rink and get my workbenches ready, get all the equipment ready, get my skate sharpeners together. Anything else I think that we'll need is tape, making sure we have enough pucks, making sure the coaches have their boards, making sure we've got everything to accommodate new players that have some of them have been with us, some of them have never been with us. So it'll be exciting.
Of course, speaking about that, how is it like to prepare for players that have, with the NWHL being a 1 year contract and some of the players going to different teams? How is it like to prepare for those new players versus the veterans that are on your team?
It usually goes pretty. It usually goes pretty smoothly. I try to introduce myself as early as possible, usually through email or some form of communication to try and get what they like, make sure that we're stocking what they are going to need, finding out what their needs are as far as equipment goes, because some people are coming from other teams in the league. They're going to need Beauts colored helmets and gloves and things like that, and getting sizes and making sure that we're on top of what they're going to need for the season.
What is the sizing session like?
It's really mostly like very, very informal. In most cases, it's just a matter of, oh, while you're here, like tell me what size gloves you wear, what size helmet do you need? Do you need sticks? Do we need to get blades redone for you? Do we like just? It's more of like it's weird because it's almost like a new job interview, because every time I have to introduce myself to a new employee, really. So it's just a matter of getting familiar with somebody and figuring out what exactly their likes and dislikes are. And some people will let me sharpen their skates, some people will not let me sharpen their skates. It's just how that goes.
What is a game day like for you as an equipment manager?
Hectic. It's if our game is at 4 o'clock, it's up at the rink by 11, maybe. It's put out jerseys, put out socks, make sure that everybody has their skates sharpened, tighten all the helmet screws, make sure that that everybody's got two pairs of two gloves, two skates, two shin pads, making sure everybody's ready to go. Make sure the goalies are set. Make sure they have what they need. Making sure that the laundry is done and ready to go. That's a game day. And then it's like on the bench, and you're almost like a spectator for the whole thing, and you're like a caged father watching a whole team out there skating. You almost feel connected to everybody.
Of course, what is it like to set up the game day jerseys? For example, with Taylor Kersey's jersey, what is it like to set up her jersey and other players?
It's a privilege. Um, I've always gone into this knowing 110% that these are professional players, and that I want to treat them like that every day. So on game days, it's really it's something special that I don't let anybody else do. Is make sure that I'm putting everybody's jerseys out, make sure that I'm making sure that the locker room looks right, so that when they walk in, they can do their job without thinking about second guessing anything. That's my job, is to make sure that they don't have to worry about anything.
Of course, whenever it comes to players' requests, do you have typically players' requests like their jerseys to be a certain way?
For the most part, no. Some people like their skate sharpened the night before. Some people like their skate sharpened for the skate before we leave to go on a road trip. Some people like to have their their gloves packed away. Some people, but for the most part, jerseys aren't really something that they're all superstitious about. I think I'm more superstitious about the jerseys than they are, honestly.
What is it like to prepare for home games versus away games?
Uh, it seems like I can prepare more for a home game because I can be in the rink whenever I want to be. On the road, we're kind of stuck to the boss's schedule, and making sure that we're getting our stuff over there and setting up. So half my like game day early ritual is just like setting up to make sure that I can handle any of the needs for the players. Um, at home, I don't have to do that. It's already set up, so I can go in and I can be there making sure jerseys are set, making sure that socks are okay, making sure that we have granola bars and all that stuff at the ready for them. So, but road games tend to be far more condensed.
Of course, what happens whenever a player's skates are too sled where they can't skate?
Um, for the most part, I mean, today's skates, most of them are removable, so I can run a pair of blades back to the locker room. We're starting to get to a point where everybody has two pairs of blades, so that we can swap them on the bench pretty easily. But I mean, every once in a while there'll be one or two situations where either a blade just loses an edge, or somebody steps on a bad part of the coping or something like that. And but for the most part, we can eliminate a lot of those problems. We had a lot of I did a lot of like forethought for the outdoor game, because I knew how much of a walk it was from the locker room to the rink. So I wanted to make sure that everybody had skate protectors on, and everybody was straightened there, so that we can eliminate that. But I mean, no matter what, I'm going to end up sharpening Taylor's skates at least 3 times a game.
Have you ever ran out of sharpening skates?
Like ran out of the actual sharpener.
Like ran out of the skate part because they
Oh,
went too
ran out
much?
of blade. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, actually, if I can remember correctly, Becky Bowering had like no blade left by the end of the season. None. I don't know how she skated on it. It was amazing. I give her more I give her more props for being able to skate on what she had left than anyone else.
What was it like as an equipment manager in Lake Placid?
I unfortunately didn't get to go. I had pressing issues here, and I couldn't really get off from work. But I know the day that, like, literally, I got to pack the bus, and it was like being a worried parent. I packed everything that I could. I probably packed more than I should have, but I wanted to make sure that everyone had everything they needed. I wanted to make sure that I had constant conversations with the equipment managers for the other teams to make sure that my girls were going to get taken care of, and make sure my players were handled. Because I didn't want them to want for anything, especially in that situation.
Of course, speaking about that on the roads, whenever you go to, like, let's say the Boston Pride and you run out of something, do you always go to the Boston Pride equipment manager and ask, "Hey, can I borrow this?"
Yeah, there is one thing I can say about traveling anywhere is, for the most part, if you have a need, someone in this league is going to help you. No one's going to leave you out to dry. No one wants to win that way. No one wants to win because a player forgot their helmet. No one wants to win because, the skates weren't sharpened because we didn't have the sharpening wheel for them. And on top of it, I have such a good relationship with all the other equipment managers in the league. I mean, there's only 6 of us, so it's pretty easy to keep in contact with each other. We just recently had a meeting and stuff just to make sure that we were all on the same page for the start of a season and stuff like that. So it's good. We keep in pretty good contact with each other.
What is something that you learned now that you didn't know before becoming an equipment manager on the professional level?
Ooh, that's a good question. You know what? To be honest with you, it's what I was capable of. I never thought for 1 second I'd be able to do this job. I never thought for 1 second that my hockey career would lead me to this. I always thought that I was just going to be, a beer league goalie, and everybody be happy to have me because I was a goalie. And I never thought that it would be to the point where now, like, people are like, "Hey, Josh, what's going on?" It's like, "What do you mean what's going on?" "Well, you're the equipment manager, so can you help me?" And it's like, "Of course I can." But I never thought that this is where I'd end up.
That's wonderful. What are some of your future plans whenever it comes to being an equipment manager?
I hope one day I can help the league more than I currently am. I hope one day that I'm the go-to guy.
That's amazing. What advice would you give someone looking to become an equipment manager on the professional sports level?
Get involved. Like, don't if you think for 1 second that that's what you want to do, get involved. Call someone, send a message, send an email, send a text message, send a signal flare. Just get involved. This sport cannot have enough good people around it. It just doesn't happen that way.
That's amazing. Where can my listeners find you at on social media?
You can find me basically on Facebook's the easiest way. I do answer my Instagram, but not very much. But just find me, Josh Wager, on Facebook. I'm not hard to find. Usually I'm connected to every single goofy hockey thing there is in Buffalo. So always glad to talk with somebody, message with somebody, hear someone's story.
Thank you again, Josh Wager, for your interview, and best of luck in your future with the Buffalo Beauts as the equipment manager.
Thanks a lot, Brandon. You have a good day.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Josh Wagner, for your interview, and best of luck.
Thanks, Brandon.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.